A deadly Russian strike in Ukraine's Dnipro region has claimed at least 8 lives. Officials there say 2 children were among the dead and another 29 people were injured in last night's missile attacks. A 5-story building was heavily damaged as well. Meanwhile, the head of the CIA says Ukraine could lose the war by year's end if more military aid isn't provided. The U.S. could be one step closer to sending that aid. On Saturday, lawmakers will be back on the Hill to vote on 4 separate foreign aid bills. The 4 passed the House Rules Committee earlier. House Speaker Mike Johnson separated them in hopes that they would pass more easily. Now, his handling of the bill has some in his own Republican Party calling for his firing.
Even though it's not the perfect legislation, it's not the legislation that we would write if Republicans were in charge of both the House, the Senate, and the White House. This is the best possible product that we can get under these circumstances to take care of these really important obligations.
House Rules says it just takes one lawmaker, like his fierce critic Marjorie Taylor Greene, to bring up a motion to oust the Speaker. But lawmakers on both sides of the aisle think Johnson is doing the right thing.
How would you characterize the Speaker's handling of this situation on the Ukraine aid?
Slow. Should have been done months ago. Should have just put the Senate bill on the floor. It would have gotten 300 votes.
And frankly, this is a moment for moral clarity for everyone. The Speaker is doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons. And the institution as a whole should respect that, and they should reflect on that. And if the motion to vacate comes, I think it is incumbent upon everybody to protect the institution.
Congressman Austin Scott joins me now. He's one of the lawmakers on the House Rules Committee. Thank you so much, Congressman, for joining us. So as someone who sits on the House Rules Committee, you know that this was a roller coaster in making, not just the past 2 months, but even the past 24 hours. Late last night, the committee cleared the rule for the foreign aid package to be taken up today, but 4 Democrats voted yes on the Rules Committee to see that move forward. I don't have to tell you how rare that is, and even what we saw take place today. The House voted to advance the bill 316 to 94, which tells us that 55 Republicans voted against it. 165 Democrats supported this bill going forward to tomorrow's ultimate vote. What does that say about what is clearly a vocal and not very small minority in your party that does not want to see this aid get through to either Israel and, more importantly right now, Ukraine?
Well, it's an important package, and I think the most important thing is that by the end of the day tomorrow that the aid for Israel and the aid for Ukraine will have passed and will be sent to the Senate. Hopefully the Senate will move pretty fast, and then we can get a signature on it. And so I would just tell you, Bianna, we have a 2 to a 3 to a 4 vote margin on any given day. As Republicans, it's probably going to be that way until the election is over with. And so you may see more bipartisan rules moves. We've got to get another appropriation measure done for the next fiscal year. We've got to do something on some other key issues, and it may take that bipartisanship on the rules to make those things happen until the next election. So I'm glad it happened. The most important thing is we're going to have this vote tomorrow, and hopefully that aid will get to Ukraine as soon as possible.
Yeah, and you know that aid is so desperately needed. There was yet another missile attack against Ukraine today. President Zelensky urging for that aid to come as soon as possible, said he needs a minimum of 7 more Patriot or similar air defense systems right now. We heard the dire warning from the CIA director saying that the war could be lost as soon as the end of the year. Because that aid hasn't been there, and this has been going on for a few months. I know you support Ukraine getting that aid. You tweeted before, let me assure you, we want the Ukrainians to win and we want Putin to lose. But going back to my earlier question, the reason why you see such a rare scenario where Democrats are actually coming to the rescue here of even getting this out of the Rules Committee is because a significant number of members of your party object to it. So do they not want to see Putin lose?
I'm not going to speak for the other members. What I will tell you, Bianna, is if you look at the members on the Foreign Affairs Committee, on the Intelligence Committee, on the Armed Services Committee, I think you're going to see broad bipartisan support on those of us who actually study and work in these issues on a daily basis as members of Congress. And so what other members are going to do, I don't know. I will tell you that I do support what Mike has done in separating the issues, because I do believe that Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan are 3 totally separate issues, and there will be people that vote for one and not for the other on both sides of the aisle, I think. So the most important thing, again, is that we're going to get the Ukrainians the aid that they need. We're going to continue to deliver the intelligence to the Ukrainians that they need, and the Ukrainians are going to continue to give Putin significantly more fight than Putin ever anticipated from the Ukrainians, and we as the United States of America are going to support them in that.
Meantime, it sounds more likely than not that we will see a motion to vacate brought up for the Speaker. He says he is comfortable with that. His decision is one that he's made and he's comfortable with, and the consequences will fall and be as they may. We now have 3, I believe, Republicans, Paul Gosar of Arizona, also supporting a motion to vacate. Do you think that that's where things will end up? Is your party ready to go through this process once again?
Well, I sure hope not, and I hope the Democrats don't want to go through this process again either. And I would remind my Republican colleagues that the only person in our conference, and I include me in this, Bianna, I ran for Speaker as well, the only person in our conference that can get 100% of the conference to vote for them is the Speaker of the House right now today, and that's Mike Johnson. And so if we have this small group that wants to go through the exercise of removing the Republican Speaker of the House, there is no other Republican Speaker coming that can get 100% of the Republican votes in our conference. So this is not a smart play by my colleagues that are pressing for this, and I would encourage them to think twice before they pull this trigger.
Quickly, Speaker Johnson had an opportunity to raise the threshold for the motion to vacate. He didn't take that up, even though there had been some pressure on him to do that from some of your colleagues. Do you think that he made a mistake?
No, I think changing the rules in the middle of a term is probably not the right way to do things. I think that, you know, all of us in Congress, the 435 of us, saw the turmoil that came from the motion to vacate and what I consider to be an abuse of it this past year. And I do think that any rules changes probably need to be made at the first of the congressional cycle.
All right, Congressman Austin Scott, thank you so much for joining us. You have a busy day ahead of you tomorrow as well.
We do. It's going to all be good, though.
Let's hope so. Well, coming up for us.